Taking a look today at the Dell Orto 34FRD carburetors on a 1641 Volkswagen engine installed in Baja Bug. I found these carburetors in the newspaper classifieds quite a long time ago, before there was Craigslist, or certainly before I was familiar with Craigslist, and just had them stashed for many years. I actually bought a second set on eBay, which seemed like a good price, and as it turned out, I used enough pieces out of that set to make that purchase seem worthwhile. Had these carburetors on the road now for over 30,000 miles. Wanted to point out some things I encountered. Number one, I should have put longer studs in the cylinder heads. These nuts barely, the thread barely protrudes from the nuts. More importantly, these bases are always cracked. I mean, maybe that's a gross generalization, but this part here is, pieces are broken off on this set, and most sets that I've seen is broken or damaged some way there where it clamps onto the carburetor. And like many, this has a screw stuck through the side. You can't see it, it's back there, but it essentially goes right through here, and there's a matching hole drilled in the carburetor to make sure it doesn't literally come off. And they don't make these bases anymore. Claude's Buggies, when they switch to the 34 ICTs, they tell me they changed the tooling. They can't go back to making these bases anymore, which is a shame. So that's kind of a problem. Also, I added these return springs on both sides. I don't see how you could ever get the carburetors to come back to idle without them. Some people say it can be done, but I decided to switch rather than fight. I made these rods longer by cutting off the threaded portion they came with and welding on a part of a screw to make them longer. This is so I didn't have to shorten the throttle cable. I've got the stock link throttle cable now. And this linkage, I'd have to say, works pretty well. I haven't spent a lot of time, trying to synchronize the carburetors. I think the need for that is usually pretty overstated. One curious thing, I find when I park often, sometimes anyway, gas starts dripping out of the throttle shaft openings. And it actually is stained here and here, and these valve covers are already beginning to stain a bit, even though I just painted them. I never rebuilt these. I've had some problems with some transfer ports plugging, but all in all, they've been very reliable, and I'm just living with the gas dripping problem. In an unmodified car, it might be an issue, but it's just not something I'm going to take the time to try and figure out why they do that. Not a big fan of the K&N air filters, but it's the only one that fits this application, and I have to admit it's worked out okay. There've not been any reliability problem, and twice now I've cleaned them and washed out a significant amount of dirt. That's the neighborhood kids going by on scooters behind me. These wing nuts on top of the air cleaners, the threaded shafts are a little short, and I glue them in place with weather strip adhesive. That's all I can think of. Thanks, and be sure and watch my other videos.